Good evening to everyone. I think we played the way we wanted to play. Very unfortunate to concede the goal that we considered very early in the match, which I believe very strongly that it was outside of the goal line when Saleng put that ball in. And once Pirates scores that early in the match, then the game favors Pirates, because Pirates is a team that thrives on transitions and counter-attacks. But we must also take a bit of a blame. I think we lost too many balls very cheap. Knowing the strength of the opposition on transition, you cannot afford to risk possession like that, because once they decide to go in a low block, a little bit more patience is wanted, a little bit more width to try and open them up slowly, but patiently, without rushing to force passes into areas or to clip balls to the opponents, because on transition they always prove to be very dangerous. And I must also say, ever since Saleng started playing, their transitions are a little bit more clinical than before. Because if you look at this game today, I think they only had 3 or 4 shots at goals, and all 3 are on target, you know. And this match we had far too many shots at goals, but unfortunately we did not get anything out of it. And I think we were not clinical enough in the final third. But more than anything else, I think the goal that they scored very early in the match made life very difficult for us, because we always know that playing against Pirates, then now you must worry a lot about your rest defense and worry a lot about breaking that low block down, and that is where I think the game was lost.
Thank you, Coach. Let's take questions from the floor. Start at the back there, Mr. Gleason.
Coach, can I ask you the shallow leader factor? Does that weigh a little bit heavily on the team? You think, I mean, this man is, he's a real talisman for you, and you are missing him today in a big match, and you did look a little bit flat up front. Is there a little bit? Do you feel maybe the players had a little bit of mental weight in his absence?
For sure, we will be lying when we say we are not missing Peter. That is why we tried the best we can not to expose it to everyone that is out, because we know, everybody knows how dependent we are in his ability to finish our chances, and also to pose a lot of threat, and also to even give us a chance from the first line of defense with his high press and speed and all that. That to a certain extent had an effect on the whole team, but we were consoling ourselves with the number of goals that we scored prior to this match in 3 matches. But we knew for a fact that at some point, if you don't take our chances, we might be exposed that we don't have a player of Peter Shalulile's caliber.
All right, next question, moving along. Okay, let's go to my brother there from Sowetan.
Evening, Coach, evening, colleagues. Coach, just looking at this, the last 4 ties with Orlando Pirates, previously you've mentioned that the league has sort of not been competitive, and that has not helped your cause within the CAF Champions League. How does this game or this tie sort of help you guys build towards being stronger going to the Champions League, given the high caliber match it was?
I wouldn't really say it was that much of high caliber in terms of performance in the pitch, because a big match must always have 2 teams that are really pushing each other. But in a game like this, where you know for a fact that you are likely to dominate possession, but you would have wanted not to concede too early, so that they also desperate to come to you, and you then have possibilities to also create better opportunities like that. But I think in terms of possession stats, probably it's 70-30. In terms of shots at goals, probably it's 3 shots and 3 on target and 3 goals. And you look at our side, in all the other metrics, if you can look at them, they are saying you should not lose a match like this. But unfortunately, when you are not taking your chances, you will always have problems. And Saleng was a big factor in the game today, even from putting a lot of stress on our last line, because even transitions that never yielded anything but he was a consistent threat into our last line, and we must give it to them and appreciate sometimes that in football, who takes his chances is the one who wins the match. And it doesn't matter whatever you look at in terms of metrics, but sometimes football is just decided by who puts more balls into the back of the net, and that is what happened today. In terms of the preparation for Champions League, I would not be too sure, because normally in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, that's when you get teams that are coming to you, that are not sitting back at all. And that is probably one area of our game that has to improve, where teams force us to see how can we defend against teams that are coming at us. Because the PSL, what it prepares us for is how to break down a low block, because that is what we are getting week in and week out. But in terms of us being challenged and put under pressure by teams that are of equal strength with you, we are not getting that a lot. But I must say there's tremendous improvement in terms of how Pirates is playing, and structurally they also do a lot of good things.
Right, let's move on to Nati from Energy FM.
Yes, thank you very much. Coach, I noticed that in that first half there in the dugout, you were a little bit uncomfortable there with the lineman there. I think what was so frustrating for you, I think even coach, as the senior coach, got a yellow card there. What was frustrating for you as the technical team?
Have you ever seen a player scoring a goal, taking the shirt off and not getting a yellow card? Have you ever seen anything like that? Have you ever seen a ball getting out of the line and the linesman is 5 meters away from the line, but he does not see that the ball went out of the line and is nonchalant about it? And those were the situations that were paining us, because one small mistakes against us, it's a foul, it's a yellow card, it's this, it's a red card. But you look at what happened in the match, it's clear what is happening, and everybody who is watching football these days can see what is happening in the PSL. And if Safa is not doing enough to improve what is happening in the PSL, I'm looking at the games of other teams as well, not only Sundowns. I'm looking at Amazulu. The last 2 matches, what happened to them? Because all these matches, there is a lot of poor decision making from the referees, very poor, substandard. But when you talk about these things, the next thing you are facing the wrath of the disciplinary committee and what. But you journalists, you are not putting these things forward. Put these clips in front, show the offsides that people are surviving on and winning games with, because that is what is happening. I would not say the referees are cheating. I just feel sometimes the level of competence is not at the level that is expected in these matches. It only becomes worse when it's a senior referee that consistently does one and the same thing. Do you want to tell me that first half there was not even one incident when Ponchane deserved to get a yellow card? How many times did he keep the ball there and nothing is happening, but the referee is nonchalant about it? What happened to the 6-second rule? Because there was a 6-second rule, and if you look at what is happening, and I did speak about this thing even in the past, that our football is killed by lot of time wasting. And if we are also wasting time, we must be punished. Every team must be punished, so that games are played with at least maximum minutes of the ball in play. If it's 60 minutes in total of the ball in play, it's better. But in the PSL, you check, you go and look at your stopwatches. How many minutes is the ball in play? You will be surprised that in 90 minutes, the ball is in play for less than 45 minutes.
All right, moving right along, let's go to Temba. I've noted you Tsepang, and I think Kensani will have the last question.
Temba Shabalala, Joseph from Sports. Had welcome the result, coach. One of the jewels that was well anticipated was that of Saleng and Andy Lejali, and you pulled the decoy. Didn't actually have him start the game or even take part. I mean, what could have been the reason behind that? Was there too much pressure on him, or he wanted to just pull a normal technical change?
And how do we create a jewel of Andy Lejali, guys, when Saleng is a striker winger and Andy Lejali is a central midfielder? Honestly, for me, I mean, really, central midfielders must have duels with central midfielders. And strikers are the responsibility of defenders. That's how football it is. And one instant where Saleng happens to find AJ, and now we must look for that jewel. Guys, no.
All right, moving along to Tshepang Sokala Duma.
Coach, good luck on the result. I just want to add on to Nati's question. When there's a lot happening on the touchline, coaches maybe not happy with the decisions, and it's also happening on the field with players. Whenever there's a decision, they're going to have their say at the referee. Does it not at times take away the focus away from the game in that, yes, the referee is doing badly, he's not performing well, but let's play, let's try win this game? Does it not take away from the game the focus that you guys need to have to try and beat Pirates?
If it's something you did not anticipate, it would definitely take focus away from the game. But if you anticipated that some things are likely to happen, I don't think it does take the focus away from the game, because the truth of the matter is we are objectively looking at situations. We are not just piggybacking on things that are not there. We are looking at direct situations that in the laws of the game it's clear. If a player celebrates and he takes out his shirt, it's a questionable offense. And if in a game of this magnitude that is not a questionable offense, then it's something else. But the truth is, we are not vindictive. We are not looking at the referees with an eye, what you did in the past and all that. We are looking at what is happening in the game, and for the players to complain when they see something wrong, I don't think there is anything wrong there, because they can say when it's a small foul for us, we don't get it, but when it's a small foul for the other guys, it's there all the time. And worse in a moment where we win possession and we still have an advantage, Marcelo is on the ball. It's just on the outside of the 18 area. Anything can happen, and the referee takes you back there. Then surely you are having a 12th defender there, who does not want to see the game progressing, because it's our foul. If we fouled, then we will understand. But Marcelo is on the ball. We are having an advantage to goals, direct to goals, and the referee says, no, come back. You were fouled here. And those are the situations we are talking about. We are not talking about situations that are offline. We are talking about things that happened in the match, that the referees, if they also come into press conferences like this and they answer, what does the law say in a situation like this, then we will understand whether the coaches are mad or what. And this is our bread and butter. This is what we live on. We prepare teams to make sure that we come into these stages to compete fairly. But if the referee now, instead of administering the games, they are making sure that the other team loses all the advantages it has, then we have to complain. If you are telling me from a tactical perspective, if Pirates does not score that goal that they scored so early, which was not supposed to be a goal because the ball was outside, then Pirates would have to dig deeper. But when Pirates has got that advantage, and you know tactically they are a team that thrives on transition, then you have opened the game up and you have taken the game to their strength. And for me, those are the things we are complaining about. But when we don't score the goals, we can't expect to win the match as well. We may complain about everything else that has happened, but we also have a responsibility to score goals in order to make sure that our complaint is a little bit valid. Now you have lost 3-0. Nobody will understand why it went as far as 3-0, because people don't understand that when you have considered a goal, you try to push a little bit up and push numbers up, and you are likely to be caught on transition. And against a team like Pirates, if you create more transitions, you are bound to be punished.
All right, last question.
Thanks for two. Coach Kensani from Sundowns. Good luck on the result. You just mentioned now what you have to do to get the goal when you're coming from behind. Today's game, I know it's a loss, but it showed a lot of tactical flexibility, because at first Gaston, Allen, they were looking to go behind the defense. In the second half, you saw when you introduced Tapelo, he was stretching the last line, and Obri was inverting, trying to go a bit narrow. What would you say is your gauge of the tactical agreements between the technical team and the players?
Very good points. Very good points on initially, because when the game is still 50-50, you know you might get an advantage to get behind the defense. You expect Mngqithi to do that in the half spaces. You expect Gaston to give us width if Modiba is inverting. If Modiba is not inverting, then you're expecting Mngqithi to help you with your rest defense. But you are looking to probe and get behind the defense. But now, when the opposition has scored the goal and they are sitting in, it becomes very difficult now to still look for the space behind. Then you must start looking at creating maximum width all the time and try to find openings in between the lines, which I think we tried the best we could in that space. That's why I gifted two big moments after he came in. But unfortunately, you are still playing in the hands of Pirates, because at that time you know, instead of having a rest defense of 4 or 5, you are now having a rest defense of 3. And with Saleng hanging on the outside and Lepasa hanging on the outside on the other side, then you are stretching your defense. It already you are playing into the hands of them. Then you must try to terminate almost all your attacks so that you give yourself time to be able to come back and defend. But the truth of the matter is, we should have scored for us to talk. When we have not scored, what are we talking about?
All right, thank you very much, Coach. We'll